everyone! My name is Kinanti Petronela Gaby Surlia, and this is...
My name is Salpasjawati. Good morning. Can you tell me your full name, please?
Good morning. My full name is Kinanti Petronela Gaby Surlia.
What's your identification, please?
Of course. Here is my identification.
Thank you. Now, in this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's talk about your study. What are you studying at the moment?
At the moment, I'm studying international relations. It's a really broad field that focuses on how countries interact with one another, including political, economic, and social dimensions. What I find interesting is that it doesn't just look at governments, but also global organizations, cultural interaction, and how international events affect everyday people. Because the scope is so wide, I always feel like there's something new to learn. Sometimes it can be overwhelming, especially when there's a lot of reading or when we have to analyze complex global issues, but overall, I enjoy the challenge.
Why did you choose that subject?
I chose international relations mainly because I've always been curious about the world beyond my own environment. Ever since high school, I liked discussing global issues and understanding why certain decisions are made by governments or international institutions. I wouldn't say I want to work directly in politics, but I enjoy learning about different perspectives and how international events shape societies. I also think the subject helps me develop skills like critical thinking, research, and communication, which I believe are useful in many different careers. So even if I don't end up in a political field, the knowledge and skills I gain are still valuable.
What do you like most about your course?
What I like most about my course is the exposure to different cultures, histories, and political systems. Studying them gives me a broader understanding of how the world works and why countries behave the way they do. I especially enjoy the discussions and debates in class because they push me to think more deeply and sometimes challenge my own beliefs. It's also interesting to hear opinions from my classmates who come from various backgrounds, as it helps me see issues from different angles. Of course, the workload can be demanding. There are weeks when we have a lot of readings, essays, paper, journal presentation, but I feel the effort pays off because I'm constantly expanding my knowledge.
What kind of job would you like to do after graduation?
As for the kind of job I'd like to do after graduation, I'm actually quite open. I don't want to limit myself to one specific career path just because of my major. I believe that with the right opportunities and hard work, I can adapt to different roles. I want a job that allows me to grow, learn continuously, and use the analytical and communication skill I've developed throughout my studies. I'm not aiming for positions that are heavily involved in government or high pressure political environments because they might feel too intense for me. Instead, I'm interested in roles where I can contribute meaningfully, perhaps in areas like communication, project management, international business, I like business, or even creative fields. For me, what matters most is finding a place where I can keep improving and where I can make good use of my abilities. A job I would like to do in the future isn't actually something very specific, and that's something I've accepted about myself. Instead of having one fixed dream job, I'm quite open to different fields and opportunities as long as the job allows me to grow, learn, and make use of my strength. I don't want to limit myself only to careers that directly match my major because I believe success can come from many different directions if I'm willing to put in the effort and take the changes that come my way. I think the future of work is changing so quickly that being open minded is actually an advantage. If I describe the kind of job I imagine myself enjoying, it would it would probably be something dynamic and meaningful. Maybe a role that involves communications, planning, or working with different people. I don't necessarily want a job that requires me to sit behind a desk all day and deal with heavy political or governmental responsibilities. Instead, I want something that allows creativity and problem solving and that gives me space to develop both personally and professionally. It doesn't need to be glamorous, but it should give me a sense of purpose and growth. And actually, one idea that has been in my mind is doing something related to business in the future. For example, managing a small property business or even becoming a boarding house owner. I like the idea of building something on my own, something that can grow over time, and something that gives me both independence and long term stability. To have that kind of open career direction, I think certain skills are really important. One of them is adaptability. In today's world, everything changes quickly. Industries evolve, new technologies appear, job expectations shift all the time. If I stay flexible, I can adjust to different roles and environment without feeling overwhelmed. Another essential skill is communication. No matter what job I choose, I know I'll need to express my ideas clearly, collaborate with others, and sometimes even handle conflict. These skills are also very useful if I pursue a business path because running any business, including something like kosan, requires dealing with people, managing situation, and making decisions that affects customers or tenants. Besides that, I think having a strong willingness to learn is crucial. If I remain curious and open to new knowledge, I can grow into any field I choose, even if I start with zero experience. People who usually take this kind of open approach to career choices tend to be versatile and curious by nature. They don't feel pressured to follow a single path from the beginning. Instead, Instead, they're comfortable exploring different opportunities, even if it means stepping out of their comfort zone. They often believe that careers are built step by step, not chosen in one moment. I really admire people like that because they aren't afraid of uncertainty. They see it as part of the journey. They treat every job or experience, even mistakes, as something valuable that helps them understand themselves better. This mindset also aligns with entrepreneurship. People who run business actually go through trials and errors and they improve through real experience. That's something I find inspiring. The main reason I want this kind of career direction is because I don't want to push myself into a job that feels too connected to government or high pressure policy work. For me, that kind of responsibility feels overwhelming and I don't think it matches my personality right. I prefer exploring different kinds of opportunities, observing where I fit best, and building my future step by step, and having my own small business one day, whether it's a boarding house, property rental, or something else I enjoy. It gives me a sense of independence without the intense pressure of political or governmental roles. I also believe that if I'm given the right change, I can do well in any field, especially when I combine hard work with support from the people around me. Of course, I know that choosing an open, flexible path won't always be smooth. There will be moments of confusion, self-doubt, or even failure. But I think that's normal, and I'm prepared to learn new skills along the way. I don't expect everything to be perfect from the start. For me, the most important thing is to keep improving, stay curious, and make decisions that feel right for my own growth. If I can do that, I'm confident I'll eventually find a career that I not only succeed in but also feel proud of, whether that takes me into a professional job, a business of my own, or maybe even a mix of both. Thank you.
Let's talk more about career development. What factors do you think influence a person's choice of career?
I think a person's career choice is influenced by a combination of internal and external factors. Family expectation can play a very big role, especially in cultures where stability and financial security are highly valued. For example, some parents strongly encourage their children to pursue careers like medicine, engineering, or law because they believe those paths are more reliable. Personal interests also matter, but not everyone has the privilege to follow their passion, especially if they come from a background where they need to earn money quickly. Besides that, financial needs, jobs availability, and the economic situation of the country can affect someone's decisions. Sometimes people choose a career simply because it's practical or because it guarantees income, not necessarily because it's their dream. Another factor is exposure. If someone grows up in an environment where certain careers are common, they might naturally lean towards those fields because they feel more familiar. And even mental or emotional state can influence career choice. People might choose something less stressful if they're dealing with burnout, or something more challenging if they're feeling ambitious. So overall, it's really a mix of personal preference, social environment, and the opportunities a person encounters throughout their life.
I think people should change their careers during their lifetime.
Yes, I think changing careers during a lifetime is completely normal, and in many cases, it actually necessary. People grow older, their interests change, and their priorities shift. The world and the job market also evolve so quickly that a career that was popular or secure 10 years ago might not be the same today. For some people, staying in one job forever might give them comfort and stability, but for others, it can feel limiting or unfulfilling. Many people only discover what they truly enjoy after trying different types of jobs or gaining more life experience. Changing careers can feel scary because it often means stepping out of your comfort zone, learning new skills, or even starting from zero. But it can also lead to a more meaningful and satisfying life. As long as a person is willing to adapt, learn, and accept challenges, I think career changes can be a positive step. It shows resilience and self awareness, and it can open doors to opportunities they never considered before.
How has technology affected the kinds of jobs people do today?
Technology has had a massive impact on almost every aspect of work. It has created entire industries and job roles that didn't exist in the past. For example, content creation, data analysis, app development, and digital marketing. At the same time, technology has automated some traditional jobs, making certain tasks faster but also reducing the need for manual labor. In many workplaces, technology increases efficiency, allowing people to complete tasks more quickly and with fewer mistakes. However, it also raises expectation. Employers often expect workers to multitask, communicate constantly through digital platform, and adapt to new tools or software regularly. For some people, this is exciting because it pushes them to grow and opens up more opportunities, but for others, it can feel overwhelming and stressful.
Do you think education prepares people well for the workplace?
Overall, technology hasn't just changed the types of job available, it has changed the way people work, the skill they need, and the pace at which they're expected to operate. I think education prepares people to some extent, but not fully. Schools and universities tend to focus heavily on theory, which is important, but it doesn't always match what actually happens in a real work environment. Many students graduate without practical skills such as teamwork, problem solving under pressure, time management, or effective communication in a professional setting. Another issue is that some industries develop so quickly that the curriculum can keep up. By the time a student finishes their degree, certain tools or methods taught in class might already be outdated. That's why practical experience like internship, part-time jobs, or volunteering is just as important as academic knowledge. So while education provides a foundation and teaches people how to think critically, a lot of essential learning still happens on the job. People have to keep improving themselves outside the formal education system if they want to stay competitive, and adaptable in the workplace. Thank you. That's all for me, guys. Thank you, and sorry if I made a lot of mistakes. Good night.
Bye! Thank you!